Do that setup, set up those streaks, and then play like Nuketown, honestly. And then no one votes team deathmatch, so it's pretty much always going to be hardpoint, dom, or kill confirmed. And green specialty helps a lot with all of those. It's pretty nasty, and again, now's a great time to take advantage.
Do you
of
know
that.
if the objective score and all that gives you weapon XP in this game?
We are live, boys and girls. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty podcast, episode number 472. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. Today I'm joined by Tanner, and we have a good little ep for you here.
Yeah, we got a lot of info.
A lot of info. Brought to you by Tanner mostly. Did a lot of notes, words, big words, intimidating words.
You scared by some of them? Yeah.
Most of them.
I have a PhD, so I know words.
Okay. We've got a lot to talk about and a lot to get into. I have a PhD in yapping. So, yeah, a lot of stuff to go over today. Kind of just info we've gathered from like various content creators who have done some testing on some things. And then also a couple little kind of pro tips about BO6. So basically, the topic of today is just BO6. A little more, give you guys a little more insight into the what's going on under the hood in the game. So like, why does your hit reg feel weird, or, you know, whatever? Why does your sound suck? All of that kind of stuff. Why is my aim assist weaker? That's kind of the topic for today. But to start, I have some PSAs.
Oh,
that we're just going to get.
Huh?
Yeah, a couple little PSAs that we're just going to get right into. As far as announcements go, don't really have any. We did our last Patreon episode at a time, and it was a good one. And I remember what it was about.
I really remember too. Yeah, I definitely remember what it was
you can
about.
go listen
and I
to
remember
that.
when it came out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So just to support the show, patreon.com/dropshot, ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and bonus episodes, 3 a month for all of our patrons. And you could get even more. You can go look at it. But just great way to support the show. Now, so to start, couple PSAs for you guys. So I was playing yesterday. Obviously, we got Nuketown, and we'll talk about Nuketown toward the end of the program today. But I've learned a couple of things from Twitter, and I've tested them myself. And this is a big one, so I'm going to start with it because right now it is also double XP and double weapon XP. So you can really double dip with this. How do you maximize your XP? Okay. The best thing you can do is use the green specialty, because if you have 3 green perks, the specialty for that is I think it's a couple things, but the thing that matters is that you get bonus XP for doing objective stuff. So if you cap an objective, you get 50 extra XP. If you flip an objective, you get 50 extra XP, etc. And I think that you might get extra. Oh, you also get extra XP for destroying equipment. And then if you're running the green specialty, you'll have the perk that highlights equipment through walls. So every time you run by an assault pack, kill it, you get 25 for killing it, and then you get 50 on top because you have the green specialty. The most interesting thing is that if you're playing kill confirmed, if you pick up any tag, that counts as an objective. So you get 50 XP for picking up tags. So if your teammate dies, just quickly run over his tag. You'll get whatever it is, 25 or 50 XP base just for denying the tag. And then you'll get a bonus extra 50 on top of that because you have the green specialty. So if you get like Nuketown kill confirmed, you can pretty easily get like 20k XP right now with double XP. Because with double XP, every time you're getting the 50 extra, you're actually getting the 100 extra. So you're leveling up your character really quickly. I prestiged again this morning, and I loaded into a match of Face Off, HVT, or no. Yes. Face off HVT, and I went from level 4 to level 8 in one match. So like this green specialty, kind of regardless of the mode you're playing, except for TDM, I think, is really will add up a lot. So like for those of you who enjoyed using decoy grenades because you're really trying to min-max your XP gains, this is way more impactful than running decoy grenades pre-nerf was. Like you're getting a ton of extra XP if you're playing hardpoint or Dom, or especially kill confirmed because of how easy it is to just rack up those bonus 50s. And then the real pro strat is to also run perk greed, run 3 green perks, make sure perk 2 is dispatcher, because that gives you, I think, 150 bonus score toward your score streaks. Mm-hmm. And then you can also run perk greed and bankroll, which is a red perk, which also gives you, I think it's like another bonus 150 toward non-lethal kill streaks. It's something like that, but those 2 perks both make it basically easier to gain your first streaks. One of them only works for non-lethals, but the other one works for all streaks. Use both. So it's like a green perk, dispatcher, a green perk, bankroll. And then play an objective mode and set your streaks to be cheap and non-lethal. So you could do like what I was doing with Scout Pulse, UAV, counter UAV. And with this setup, you can like shoot 1 bullet at 1 guy, and if he dies, you'll get enough score for your Scout Pulse, and then you're going to get enough score for your UAV just by virtue of like Scout Pulse assists or whatever. And then you're going to get enough XP for your counter UAV without having to do anything. Like you can very easily get 0 kills and even do 0 damage if you're playing kill confirmed and go through all 3 of your streaks without having to shoot your gun at all. And again, all of these like UAV assists, counter UAV assists, that score you get, even if you don't have any streaks after counter UAV, these all count as XP. They're the same thing. So you're just farming XP for doing like nothing. It's a very good way, especially during double XP, to just absolutely rack in the experience points. And for that reason, by the way, I recommend not doing face-off if you want to do this strat, because you can't call in streaks that way, because there's no streaks in that mode. And that will contribute a lot to how much total XP you get per match, especially if you set them, again, so cheap like I went over, and have them all be non-lethal. You just get them all so quickly and easily that I would say do that setup, set up those streaks, and then play like Nuketown, honestly. And then no one votes team deathmatch, so it's pretty much always going to be hardpoint, Dom, or kill confirmed. And green specialty helps a lot with all of those. It's pretty nasty, and again, now's a great time to take advantage.
Do you
of
know
that.
if the objective score and all that gives you weapon XP in this game?
I don't know.
Because, yeah, there've been... Jakin thinks it doesn't, and I also think I remember reading that on Twitter a couple days ago, that it doesn't give weapon XP, because in some past games, I don't know if it was MW 2, maybe even MW 3 last year, I think like all of them generally, the most recent games, you get weapon XP for doing anything on an objective with your gun out. But yeah, you might not in this game, which would be unfortunate. That would also actually lead to why weapon leveling feels so incredibly slow.
Yes.
Because if nothing else is different, but that you no longer get weapon XP for things like capping objective with your gun out, that would literally basically be the main reason why leveling feels slow. Because it would be so much faster if that changed. So maybe that's not even correct. Yeah, that seems right.
I think that's correct. Yeah, I don't think you get weapon XP for doing anything objective wise. I think you have to get a kill or assist to earn weapon XP. So yeah, that is not going to be that helpful for those of you, all those tips, for those of you who are level 55 already and are not prestiging, don't do this because it's not going to give you any extra weapon XP.
Yeah.
But if you are prestiging, or if you just haven't hit level 55 yet, this is a really good way to get a bunch of character XP.
Yeah.
To just level up really fast.
But then also, I think with the weapon XP too, like if you are playing the objective, like if you're on a Dom point or if you're on the hard point and you get a kill and you get that extra XP because it's a objective kill, that actually does go towards your weapon XP. So that you are getting more for. But it'd be like capping flags, things like that. I don't think you get that anymore.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's like kind of little PSA number 1. And then PSA number 2, this is kind of like a vibes thing, but since the launch of this game, this is what I've noticed. You should either, if you're in like the higher SBMM brackets, queue by yourself or queue deep with like at least 2 other friends, if not more than that. Because if you queue with exactly 1 other person, every time I've queued with just 1 other person, regardless of the person, so it's not like a skill issue. Tanner, Jake, Lag, and Cope, I've queued just 2 with all of those people, and we always just get farmed. But if I queue solo, games are not nearly as sweaty. And if I'm queuing 3 or more deep, games are still sweaty, but we're just better, so it's fine.
They get fun that way though too, because then you're also going against teams and you guys are trying to play the objective and trying to win.
Yeah, exactly. And you're playing with your friends, you know? So I would recommend you do not just queue with 1 other person unless you like really don't care about doing well or having fun playing the game. Because I'm not kidding. It is like, I'll have like a 9 out of 10 experience. I'll have like an 8 out of 10 experience queuing solo, like a 9 out of 10 experience queuing with 3 or more, and like a 3 out of 10 experience queuing with just 1 other person. Because what I think happens is if you queue solo, it tries to match you. And they actually said this, something to this effect, in that blog post on matchmaking we had covered a long time ago. If you queue solo, it really does try to put you against other solo players. So it still might be kind of sweaty if you're in that top SBMM bracket, but at least they're not all in comms doing CDL callouts. So that makes it way less punishing. And then again, if you're queuing really deep, it's, yeah, they're probably all in comms, but so are you. But what I think happens is when you queue with 1 other person, it will regularly put you against 3, 4, 5, and 6 stacks because you're technically queuing in a group. So that's just something I think is true. It feels like it's true. Keep it in mind. If you like hate this game, but you happen to always queue with 1 of your friends, try playing solo. See how it is. Or get more friends.
Get more friends or get 0.
Or have none. Yeah. Or join the Discord. I think last night we had like a 5 stack running deep. Yeah. Last night, and they seem to have had a lot of fun. So even if you have no friends, like everyone who was in that group last night, all of them, you can manufacture friends by joining the Discord, and there will be people just like in a voice channel gaming. Just join on them. They're nice. They're not.
Well, well, depends who's in there.
Depends who's in there, yeah. So anyways, yeah, that's another little pro tip for you.
Thanks for the pro tips, man.
Utility, but yeah. So with that out of the way, we'll get into some other things. So first thing here, a tweet from Call of Duty Updates. This was today at COD Updates on Twitter. They had originally removed the enhanced headphone mode or whatever. And they have fixed it. So it will be re-enabled in a future update. So it's not actually in the game yet, but it will be soon because they found the fix, I guess. So if you were really looking forward to trying that, or if you bought it, you'll be able to use it soon.
No, this is the free mode they're talking about. This is that free version you can't even use right now because they disabled it. Yeah. But the free one is what I want to use.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get. Yeah, okay. So anyway, that'll be cool. No, the sliders have always been in. This is the advanced.
No, they were in and then they took it out though, right? Because I haven't seen it the last 5 times I've checked. It's not there anymore. It hasn't been there.
It is there. It's in a different. You're thinking of a different thing. That's the asymmetrical hearing compensation thing, which has always been in. They never took that out.
No, I think you're wrong because it was in there and it was
I'll
very
launch the game
obvious.
This moment.
Okay, go ahead,
I'm
launch
like
it.
99% sure.
Because it worked like on the game's launch, and I was going through it, and then like a day later when they were having issues and they took it away, that I could never find that page again ever.
Yeah, you have to do like show more.
Okay.
So I'm loading right now.
So next up from Treyarch here, last night we addressed an issue that occasionally limited the amount of double XP awarded to some players as we continue to assess and balance progression tuning. As a result, they're extending all double XP until November 5th at 10 a.m. now, so an extra 24 hours, I think, because it was probably supposed to end on Monday. So you have until Tuesday at 10 a.m. now, so that's nice of them. Thanks, guys. There were a lot of people yapping yesterday on the TL about that, that they felt like they were not getting the correct amount of XP. They were correct. They weren't getting the correct amount of XP. So that has been fixed, and now we have double XP until Tuesday.
It's still in, by the way.
So how do you get to it?
I just sent a screenshot in an internal. You go to audio, and then you turn on asymmetrical hearing compensation, and then you click configure frequency intensity.
Oh, okay. So the enhanced headphone mode was that thing that was just on or off then, right?
That was a separate thing that you basically turn it on to universal, you turn it on to personalized, or you turn it off. Those were the three options.
So have you messed with any of this intensity yet?
Yeah, I set up a thing for it.
How did you find that? Did somebody make a video on it?
Yes. And I watched it and it was a complicated video.
Man.
I kind of tried to do well,
somebody did post one of them actually, and it was a miserable video to watch, so I didn't. It was a nerd ass video, yeah. And I was like, I'm not watching this. Forget it. I'll wait till Isaac or somebody puts one out that's 6 minute long and not 25. Okay, yeah. But that's pretty much it for that stuff, and then we're gonna get into some other info here that I have. And then for Nuketown, by the way, guys, I don't know if we already said it, but we'll talk a little bit about it at the end. Spoiler: there's not a lot to say about it really, so we'll touch on it at the end for a little bit.
Yes, we will. So,
but yeah, moving on here. So the first thing we got some exclusive Ace videos popping again. So that's what we're working with here. Woo! So he did a little video, nothing real crazy here, but he did a video about the Recon specialty bonus. So of course, this is the one everyone's talking about, where you get the free wall hack. You get high alert. It's when you run 3 green perks, you get the specialty every single time you die. Blue, which is that's what I said. And so every single time you die, you get that wall hack and you see where people are through the walls and where they're moving for an amount of time. So, a few things about it. First of all, I've got something on the screen here. So he tested how high alert works. The high alert activation bubble is not very large. So the person's reticle has to be very close to you. So if you see that high alert ping going off when you're running this specialty,
oh wow,
you're basically going to be dead at that point, because that means the person is already looking at you. So this screenshot, he's like, what is that, maybe 10, 15 meters or so. You can only aim off or once you aim off the person maybe 2-3 meters to the right, that bubble is, or you basically no longer are going to trigger high alert for that person anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a very small activation bubble, essentially. It's not like it is in Warzone or MW3, where if some guy is on my monitor and I don't even see him, that guy's basically, his high alert's going off at that point. This is not the case at all.
Works.
Yeah.
So
you have to be,
it's not as good.
Hip firing or ADSing does not affect this at all. The bubble stays that small. He also tested this character model as far away as he could get it, and then he ran back as far as he could on a map. At 100 meters, the bubble was the same size, so it's like at that point, because the activation bubble distance, since you're so far away, you basically have to be like directly on the guy to have high alert be active and go off for him. But the distance is essentially infinite, because it's 100 plus meters. That's what he tested at, and it was still working at that point. But you have to be directly on his body at that range, because he's so far away, so it's not really useful at that distance anyways, other than if somebody's like sniping and they're trying to line up a shot on you at any range. So
I think it's still fairly useful, but that is good
it is.
To
it is
know.
definitely useful. Yeah.
It's good to know that it does not work the same way as high alert. currently does, like in Warzone, like you said. Because in Warzone, it's literally like if you are on someone else's screen and they are not on your screen, you will get high alert.
Yeah.
But in this game, they have to be like also looking at you. So
yep,
you're in way more danger and you get way less warning in MW, or excuse me, in BO6 when that goes off. So like if you see it and you're not dead yet, dive like Omni move somewhere because you're about to be dead. But the most of the times that I get a high alert ping and don't die are when I am close to other people. And like my teammate is getting ripped.
Yeah.
So
that's
true.
Know, yeah.
Because otherwise, yeah, like Tanner said, it's like by the time they're looking that closely at you, if you're not looking at them, you're probably dead. Unless you're very close to cover, or yeah, they're like busy doing something else, shooting your teammate. So
yeah,
that is good to know.
And then next thing about it, a lot of people yap about this and put out stuff that's just not true. You'll see it all over Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. There is no way to counter the Recon specialties. There are exactly zero ways to counter it. So if you see your friend telling you, oh no, you can run cold blood or this or that, no. Everybody is just lying. He tested every possible thing you could test. There is no counter for the wall hack or the high alert. Nothing will counter that. So you can't run cold blooded and that even, cancel out the high alert bonus. No. So
I wonder if smokes counter it. Not that that would matter, but it'd be interesting to see the answer to that.
I mean, smokes, yeah, like if smokes counter high alert.
Like if I'm looking in that bubble at you,
yeah,
but there's a smoke between us, I wonder if it would.
Yeah,
go
I wonder.
off.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's the only thing that
a lot of people are
work.
using smokes right now.
And yeah, because I think there's a camo challenge or a couple that require smokes. This wouldn't matter though. Like I'm not gonna run smokes and a thermal just to counter and like lose aim assist for myself just to counter. People using this and their high alert because like Tanner just said, it's like once I'm looking at you, you're probably already dead. I don't really care if you have high alert, you know what I mean? So like it wouldn't be worth doing that in particular. But yeah, like we told you guys, by the way, this does not have a counter. So cold-blooded, we said this very early on because it doesn't say it counters it. And if it did, they would have written that. Especially Treyarch would have written that. So yeah, this is not surprising to me, but it's good to get absolute giga confirmation. And it's entirely too overpowered, which we'll get into.
Yeah, he talked a lot about that, about how it's completely broken. It ruins the flow of small maps. It ruins the flow of all the maps. It lasts 2 full seconds, by the way. 2 full seconds.
The wall hack?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So he was like, it's not like it's just you get a ping of where somebody's at. It's not like it's a quick snapshot. He said you use this to predict exactly where people are running. He said, especially on small maps, this is completely broken because then you start tracking them and you pre-fire everybody and it ruins the flow of all these maps. And since most of the maps in the game are small, this affects like 80% of the maps, basically.
Yeah.
There was the top comment on his video too was like, honestly, they should just remove the wall hack portion entirely and just add in a UAV sweep. And that kind of sounds like it makes sense, but also the UAV, your little radar is very small in this game. It's not you don't see people as far away on your radar as you did like an MW3, for example. So if you spawn in, even on Nuketown, and get a radar ping, like you're never going to see somebody there unless the spawns are that bad and you're just spawning into somebody already shooting at you, Because even he was kind of talking about, I didn't finish the video, but he had a little section on like what they could do to improve it, blah, blah. But yeah, that's true. And he was even saying, he's like, I find it hard to believe they just removed this entirely because, it's something they added into the game. So if they're going to do something to it, they're just going to heavily nerf it in some way, but some sort of wall hack feature for the specialty will probably remain in the game, unfortunately. Which is kind of what I had said too. It's like it's kind of hard for them to base this whole specialty like around the wall hack and then they just remove it because it's obviously broken, overpowered.
I agree they won't remove it because it's very unique. Nothing else can do it, and they probably spent a decent amount of time implementing it. And we know how much Call of Duty devs hate to remove bad features that they spend a lot of time making, no matter how bad they are for the game. My argument would be that if you literally just remove the wall hack entirely, I still think the Recon specialty is the best one in the game, just for high alert. Like, I would run all blue perks just to get high alert, actually. So I think it would be completely... I think we would approach balanced if it just went away, let alone nerfed. Like, I think they could easily just remove it. By the way, this is coming from someone who uses this specialty. Not now, because I'm doing the XP thing. But yeah, it's like, it's so strong, but I don't want it to be as strong as it is. And it lasts for 2 seconds, and it is constantly updated. It's not like it's like you see the wall hack, and then you see it again in like 400 or 500 millisecond flashes. It's literally a perfect tracking of exactly the characters through walls and where they're moving to. So it's like, oh, okay, I see a guy on the stairs running upstairs, and I also see him turning left. I will now aim at that doorway. Dead. Every time. Like, it's really, really, really overpowered and insane. And it does completely ruin, like, if you enjoy flanking, it almost makes me not want to run Ghost ever, because it's like kind of useless. Because if just anyone is running this blue specialty, you're not hitting a flank, because they're gonna die, and then they're gonna be in their spawn, which is likely around where you're flanking too, and then they're gonna just be pre-firing you and shit all over you.
It's bad. You can't flank. We'll talk more about that when it comes to Nuketown at the end, but yeah. Spoiler alert: Nuketown is bad right now, literally because of the Recon feature, and primarily that, and almost nothing else. It's just completely ruining the map. So we'll talk about that. But the snapshot outline would be good too, Biggie. Yeah, just having a quick snap of somebody rather than live updating it, because then that would almost just be useless. Because I think, well, even for Nuketown though, if you get like a snapshot of somebody and they're like holding the head glitch on the Jeep, like they can move around a lot by the time you get into position and think you know where they're at, versus with that full 2 seconds, they can move from the Jeep to the truck easily, very quickly.
You'll know
and
where
you know
they're
where they're going.
Yeah, it's too long. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so
I agree. Because like Jake, who I think is trolling, I actually don't believe that he's being serious, which is why I didn't respond to him in Discord. But he was like, "Oh, this doesn't matter because you know where people are going to be anyway. Yeah. And if you're trying to counter it, just move your character, and then they won't know where you are." It's like, dude, Nuketown's a good example, but a lot of small maps are small enough for this to apply. It's like, okay, if you're literally constantly moving, that's fine. I see where you're going. Like, I'm gonna know where you are, unless you are constantly like taking a route and then just wildly changing directions and backtracking or something. But you won't know when people are using the wall hack on you and when they're not, so you won't be able to time it. So you can't outplay it because you don't even know when you're on the wall hack. So you just can't outplay it because I'm going to know where you're going. I can see where your character's facing and where you're running. Yeah, like it's uncounterable in play style or in setup.
Even on like the bigger maps, like say Lowtown, for example, when you spawn in, you're seeing where people are, right? So it's like, sure, it's fairly predictable at times, not really that map, but it's a big map. So if I see some guy pushing up one of the lanes, I'm going to start going that way, and I'm going to know he's coming regardless. Yeah, exactly. So then I'm already ready, and I'm already coming around a corner like pre-ADSing basically, even though that snap picture that I had of him for 2 seconds, that wall hack, that's been gone now for 5-6 seconds. I know exactly that guy was running through that building coming this direction, so it's obvious to tell where he's going to be. If I don't have that, I'm running up that lane and I'm thinking like, I don't hear anybody, I don't see anybody. Exactly. There's probably going to be somebody close, but I don't know for sure. So it's an insane feature. Frankly, I had no fucking idea how this made it in the full release. Almost nobody likes this. It's one of those things where you have to run it because it's so good and everybody else is doing it, but it's really bad for the game, and it definitely ruins the flow of maps because, yeah, you can't flank. Skyline is another good example of how bad this is. Like, they create these interesting flank routes, like underneath going through those vents. You can't use them. I get halfway through it. Dude. They all spawn in on the other side. They see them underground. I get to the end of it. Some guy's already aiming there. It's insane. You can't use any of the flank routes they created on these maps because of some stupid specialty bonus they added in. This will absolutely get changed in some capacity, though. I'm 1,000% sure. Way too many people are complaining about it. All of the super sweat streamers, pros, none of them think it's a good feature. It will get changed. It's just we're not sure to what extent, if it'll be enough, if it'll be too much. But that will be changed. It might not be till like the launch of Season 1, but it will get changed here the next few weeks, I'm certain.
I agree. I think it's going to be nerfed, and I think it's going to be not quite enough, but it'll be maybe good enough.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm expecting, honestly.
The unfortunate thing is it's probably not going to be nerfed until Season 1, and then I'm done playing multiplayer, so I'm going to have to just suffer and continue playing with them this way.
Yeah.
But
that's such a good point, though. They make these cool flank routes. Like the Skyline is maybe the best example. It has the moving bookshelf where you can go under, and they even like modeled in like little rats scurrying around underneath the map. And it's so cool. And it's such a neat idea. And then they piss shit and fart all over their own idea by adding this specialty.
Yeah,
so you actually can't use it because you can only come up one way if you take that flank route. Well, two ways, but they're on opposite sides of the map. So if you're trying to flank, you can only come up one way. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. I know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And by the way, that actually makes me, the more I talk about this, I mentioned it a little earlier, but I'll just say again, as another PSA, I don't think you should run Ghost. I don't think it matters, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to be on this wall hack, no matter what, then why bother being immune to UAV? It doesn't make sense. So, like, don't run Ghost. If you want to run the Recon specialty, I'd highly advise you run Ninja instead. Because Ninja can still give you some utility, but I feel like Ghost is, like, very often not going to because this exists.
Yeah.
So, there's another little pro tip for you. But, yeah, I hope they nerf it before Season 1. I could see them doing it.
They've been doing things quickly so far.
Yeah, exactly. My guess, if I had to guess what exactly they will do, is they will just, instead of having it last 2 seconds, it'll be literally just a snapshot, but you'll still see the character models through the walls. So you spawn, you'll see them, and then instead of live tracking them, it'll just like hold the snapshot of their character models for like a second and then go away.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I see a guy and he was facing this way and he was doing like a running animation, but that's the only info I have.
Yeah.
Or like I see a guy and he's doing the ADS animation and that's all I have. That would be a lot better. I still think it would be way too strong. But
yeah, exactly. It would still be too strong. Because even think like it would, that aspect would be good because then, let's say like you're playing Stakeout and there's some guy just laying prone in a random area, which a lot of people do.
Exactly.
I spawn and I'm seeing that guy's prone, so I'm still getting a free easy kill on him. But then there are times too, like say on Nuketown, for example, still, if you try to flank and push up and I have to like reload and I kill a few guys at mid, they're all spawning in and just that snapshot alone is going to get me killed every single time because I'm so close to them at that point. So that's still killing the flanking routes of the game, basically, and just the flow of everything. So, but yeah, I can't see them removing some sort of a feature that shows people through walls, basically.
Exactly. I was thinking another thing they could do is have like Ghost counters it. So if you run Ghost or Cold-Blooded or something, it you are immune to, or maybe do it like this, like you know, whatever. Cold-Blooded counters the wall hack portion, but then Ghost counters like the high alert function,
or the opposite. Vice versa. Yeah, that would kind of make sense. So then you're getting hit by one of them, and you have to choose, you know, which one you want to protect yourself with.
Right. The problem with that, though, would be that you're countering the blue specialty with 2 blue perks, so you're just making more people run the wall hack thing, ultimately. So that's like,
yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Really true.
Like, that would kind of suck, too. So
the thing is, too, is I don't want to have to run one perk just to get away from this specialty. That's the unfortunate thing, is I don't want to change my complete playstyle and setup just so people don't see me through walls. That's what I don't like about having a perk counter to it. I just wish this was never added. It would have been a lot easier if they never added this stupid specialty.
So much easier. I know. I think the best way to go is they just nerf it directly rather than adding a counter. But another thing they maybe could do is do some perk balance in the form of changing the colors of some things. Like, I don't know, swapping whatever, Vigilance, which is a blue perk right now, with something else that's like green or something. Because like the blue perks are also really good if you set aside the specialty. Ninja's blue. That's one of the good perks in this game. Ghost is blue. That's another one of the kind of good perks in this game, with the caveat I mentioned earlier. Forward intel is good. Tracker is actually really good, especially with the auto ping. It's actually really nasty.
Tracker's really good.
Yeah. And then vigilance makes you immune to counter UAV, and and scrambler, and then it lets you know when you're on other people's UAV. That's okay. But like they could take some of those competitive ones like Ninja, Ghost, or if those aren't thematic enough, Tracker especially, I could see that being like a red perk. I could make an argument that it fits the red perk playstyle, and then put like Assassin in a blue category as well, so that you can't. This isn't a nerf at all to the Recon specialty, so I would say maybe in addition to nerfing the specialty, they do something like that. But it's like the blue perks are also all really good. That's another big problem. The only other good perks in the game are Flak Jacket, Tac Mask, and like Dexterity. Those are all the good perks, like in the whole game. So they could do some balance on the colors as well, let alone nerfing the specialty. Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, that's how that works. And everyone thinks it's overpowered. So like this is one of those things where it's going to get nerfed pretty fast. Yeah. The question is just going to be, will it be enough? We don't know.
Yep. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Next video here is aim assist. We have a video from friend of the pod, Hecksmith. It's the Black Ops 6 aim assist nerf versus Modern Warfare 3. So he's testing rotational aim assist here. So let me pull this up for you guys, and let's do a little play. Are you about ready to hit play on it, man?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get this open here. And let's hit play in 3, 2, 1, go. So here he's showing 6.5 meters rotational aim assist with only left stick input.
Looks about the same.
Aim assist is the same at that point.
Okay.
Point blank, 1 meter. Little bit of rotate. Look at that.
Wow.
That's where it's a big difference.
Not the same at all.
Not the same at all. So I'm going to pause it when he comes up with the numbers here. So in BO6 at 1 meter, when he's only engaging his left stick, his character model rotates 24 degrees with aim assist following. 24 degrees at 1 meter. In Modern Warfare 3, the player model at 1 meter rotates 72 degrees and continues to track with 0. Let me be super clear. I cannot stress this enough. 0 input on his right stick, which is the aiming stick. His character turns 72 degrees when there's not any movement on his stick that he's supposed to use to aim, to turn his body and aim at somebody. 72 degrees. Got it.
Yep.
Totally fine. His right hand is chopped off. He doesn't have a right hand. He's only using his left hand. And his character model rotates 72 degrees. Super balanced and always has been. Yeah, definitely.
Mute the audio.
Hecksmith is here. Okay, thank you, sir.
What's up, big dog? Yeah, we'll do a little
It's licensed music. Okay, we will do that. Thanks, buddy.
By the way, keep in mind, for those of you who don't have any or who are like, what does degrees mean? It means, 360 degrees in a circle.
Oh, yeah, there is.
90 degrees is if I'm facing forward and I turn totally to my right.
Yeah.
That's 90 degrees. 72 degrees is close to 90. So you're almost turning completely sideways without having to aim at all in MW 3.
Yeah.
I think it's even worse in Warzone. Hecksmith, if you're in the chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if you actually ran the numbers. But I know we went over another one of your banger Twitter videos where you compared BO6 to Warzone aim assist. And Warzone, I swear to God, does 90 or more.
Well, you can get those crazy 180 rotations at time, but I think you have to engage the right stick to get that.
I don't think it's 180 without any right stick input.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure.
So I don't think the aim assist is different in Warzone. Oh, is it? Okay. I thought it was exactly the same. But
it might be exactly the same. Hecksmith might be able to tell us. But I remember when we went over the Warzone video, it looked even grosser than this. But I don't know.
yeah.
So
yeah,
anyway.
so just so we're super clear, guys, stand up, go stand at your closest wall and stare at it, and then turn directly to your right 90 degrees. That's basically how much your character is moving in MW3 and Warzone right this very second without putting input on the aiming stick. I've got that.
Yeah, it's just
Warzone has always been the same as
diabolical.
multiplayer as far as anyone has shown. Okay, so we're going to continue to play it here with no audio. So, you ready?
Yes.
Go?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Yeah, so he's basically showing the big change is between 1 and 6 meters or so.
Yes.
Now he's showing increments going from 6 down to closer up. And he posts those.
Oh, bro has charts.
Yeah, he's got a chart. I have the image chart that will show up, or that will pull up too. Which I think might just, yeah, okay, so it's chart time. Okay, so let me pull that up. So pull up that chart from the notes there, buddy.
Okay.
Okay, we're on the chart. So you're good at explaining these type of things. Why don't you look at this chart and explain to the listeners what we're looking at here?
Okay. Yes. So you can see, yeah, it's kind of awkward to read because you actually want to kind of read it from right to left. So aim assist in MW3/Warzone and BO6 is identical from 18 to like 6.5 meters away from your target. From 6.5 meters to 0 meters away from your target is where the rotational aim assist, when you're only moving your left stick and not your right stick or the aiming stick at all, starts to get pretty different. And once you're hitting like 3 meters, it's kind of insane. So the difference in degrees at 6 meters is like a half a degree or something. At 5 meters, it's whatever, maybe 2 or 3 degrees. But then when you get to like 3 meters, in BO6, you'll get, what is that, 24 degrees. And then in MW3/Warzone, you'll get 37. And then at 1 meter, you will still only get like 24 degrees of your character turning without you doing anything. But in MW3, you will get, like we went over, 73 or whatever it was.
That's so crazy.
So that is, yeah. So you kind of want to read the graph backwards, but I understand why it was made this way. That difference is substantial up close. So what does this mean for you is, I think, the real question. If you are on keyboard and mouse, you want to be as close to people as you can possibly be, because even if we set aside MW3 and set aside Warzone currently aim assist, you want whatever point on this graph where the orange line is lowest. It has the least extra help for the player. And where it's the lowest, it's kind of all the same. It's actually highest at like 7 to 6.5 meters. That's like the you're dead zone. But even that's not that much. It's 6-7 degrees. You want to be inside of people like a lot if you can be. So what else does this mean? If you're on KBAM, once Warzone comes, assuming they don't change the aim assist at all from the BO6 version we have now, that means hipfire builds are a lot stronger than they've ever been for KBAM, because most players you face are going to be on controller with aim assist on. So if I can get it into 2 meters of you, you're not going to have much AA, and I'm not going to have to be that accurate because I'm using a hipfire build, and I'm just going to like strafe around you and just dump you hipfire. And that also means if there's a good shotgun, you should use it, because you're going to want to be really close to people regardless of what gun you're using. Even if you're using an ADS build on KBAM, you're going to want to get as close to controller players as you can, because it's hard to track people up close on controller. And it's going to be especially so now because aim assist is actually just as bad up close as it is at 18 meters. So the takeaway here is, again, if you're on KBAM, Start getting inside people, and do that currently also now in multiplayer. You want to get as close to people as you can. Not because the aim assist up at 1 meter, the aim assist is about the same as it is at 18 meters, by the way. So it's not like they're going to have weaker aim assist at 1 meter than they will at 18 meters. The difference is it's going to be a lot harder for them to track you if you are so close that you can go in and out of their camera really quickly. And then another thing I think you should take away from this is if you're a controller player, turn on aim assist, obviously. And if you're a good controller player, I think almost everything applies to you as well. Hipfire builds are pretty awkward on controller because you're probably using auto tac sprint. But if you can aim well, like if you're Joe who has like crazy 30 bomb games with aim assist turned off, this is also good for you because you're not going to die to shitterfuck Timmy 27 corner camping you because he's going to have to actually aim himself. So if you're very good at aiming on controller and you think you're better than most other controller players at aiming on controller, setting aside aim assist, you're also going to want to take advantage of this by getting really close to people where you are hardest to track and their aim assist is just as weak as if you were 18 or more meters away. That's what I would take away from this. And this, looking at the graph, it is a pretty substantial nerf. It's just not it's not different for a big span of distance. It's only up to like 6 meters that it's different. Yeah. But another thing, I'm glad Hecksmith made this video, is that I thought the only difference was inside of 2.8 meters, but that's not true at all. The difference starts at like 6.5 meters is where the aim assist starts to get weaker than it used to be in MW3 and Warzone. So that's kind of a revelation to me. And that does explain why it feels more different than I thought it did.
I'm not sure if we knew that, because in the beta, all the talk was like at 3.8 or 3.5, whatever it was, your aim assist just cut off entirely. So I always took that as, outside of that, it was exactly the same in MW3. And I don't know if everybody else thought the same thing. It was just, it's harder to test because the variance is not as substantial as it is at 1 meter or with like in the beta when the aim assist was turned off. Or if they just made other changes to it. Yeah, the beta was 2.8 meters. Seems like when they decided to not to do a hard cutoff, they expanded where it starts. Okay,
yeah, interesting.
Interesting. Okay, good info.
Which is smart, I think.
Yeah.
Because even inside 5 meters, like aim assist is really strong in Warzone. So like, yeah, having that delta start.
Yeah.
Farther
I would
out
prefer this go out to like 8 meters or so, but I mean, yeah,
but the biggest takeaway is like, look how flat the orange line is compared to the blue line.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that aim assist is really terrible up close, because it's not. It's pretty good up close. The thing is, it's kind of the same as it is everywhere else. I mean, you're getting basically the same amount of aim assist no matter where you are in relation to your target now. Whereas before, you got so much more aim assist when you were really, really close to people.
Yeah.
Now it's not like the aim assist is bad up close. It's the same as it is far away. It's not like it's terrible.
The thing too,
kind of interesting.
When it comes to Warzone and the smaller maps is like closing the gap right now in multiplayer, in BO6 multiplayer, from like 6 meters to 3 meters and trying to break their camera because they're not going to rotate as far as they used to. Most of those scenarios, unless the player's really bad, I'm still going to be dead by that point because the multiplayer time to kill. But when this comes to Warzone and you're like playing Resurgence with a crazy fast movement SMG, if I can close that gap between like 6, 7, 8 meters and 2 or 3 meters by sliding past them, that's going to be nice, because with that longer time to kill, they're going to be hitting shots, and then suddenly they're not going to be able to hit me because they're not going to get that full rotation that they've been used to, and you can essentially break their camera a little bit, and you can just actually get kills and do a lot more damage. So this will make Resurgence and things like that a lot more fun, I think, and just pushing buildings in general, it will be better, because it's good controller players are still going to win the vast majority of those gunfights because they'll know to move, they'll predict that you're going to do a slide, they'll be rotating, they'll have both sticks jammed. But bad players getting those kills they definitely don't deserve, which happens every single time you play Warzone right now, will be punished, and you might actually be able to kill them by just simply sliding past them and them not rotating fast enough. And then I'm shooting at some guy in his back. Yeah.
I think you'll be able to do it a lot. Yeah. Because, like, I've never played in a game that, like Warzone, with this weak of aim assist up close.
We literally haven't.
And that's the, like, literally, and that's the thing that was frustrating and caused me to switch to controller because I couldn't do it. Is that, like, someone's really good in Warzone right now because they will push you hard because they want to get that blue line as close to the top as they can to where you can't miss.
Yeah, that thin blue line. Yeah.
That's why really good players right now in Warzone will just push you so aggressively, is because they want to maximize their rotational aim assist, and the way to do that is to get inside people like this graph shows. So
get inside me, yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be, I hope it doesn't change much from this. When Warzone integration happens, we'll certainly see. Mm-hmm. But as a controller player, aim assist feels like pretty good. I mean, would I say balanced? No. I still would much rather play on controller with aim assist than on keyboard and mouse. But it's definitely a lot weaker than Warzone. And the more I've played, the more I've like started to notice that I will just whiff shots that I would never whiff in Warzone with how the aim assist works in that game, which is good. I should. If I can't aim, I should get punished.
Yeah.
So yeah, follow Hecksmith on Twitter, by the way. And thank you for making this, buddy. We retweeted him from the podcast account. So it's HECKSMITH. He posts really good informational videos like this very often. And if you're like not clear what 73 degrees versus 22 or whatever looks like, again, go to Twitter, find him, watch the video, and you will be able to see, oh, wow, 73 is a lot for not moving your stick compared to whatever 24. It's substantial.
It's a lot when you see them side by
numbers
side.
Don't do it justice when you see it side by side, like in the video. Yeah. Then you're like, holy shit. Yeah. That's bonkers. And now you are all beginning to understand what we've been bitching about for 5 years. Yeah. So aim assist has never been overpowered though. Got it. Treyarch devs disagreed with you, by the way. So if you've been telling us for 5 years, oh, aim assist isn't overpowered at all. Okay, well, the Call of Duty devs disagree with you. That's interesting because they have all of the data. So it's interesting they would disagree with you because otherwise, why would they nerf it? So I've got that slammed really hard. So anyway, yeah, follow him on Twitter, Hecksmith. And good stuff there.
Yeah, thank you for that, sir. Next video here. Okay, so we got a long video here. I'm still trying to kind of think how we do it. I think we might probably just watch about half of it. Because it's very informative. So it's a video from TheTacticalBrit, unfortunately. The video is titled Black Ops 6's servers are a mess, and here's why. So this is a long video. He does a lot of yapping. And again, trigger warning to all of you. He is British, so you're going to hear a British voice as we play this, unfortunately. Just thought I'd let you guys know in case British people are triggering to you like they are to us. So just keep that in mind.
As they should be.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to do here, buddy, I think we're going to open this video and we're going to go straight to about 5 minutes, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to go to 5 minutes. We're not going to play it yet.
Okay.
And here he's going to be showing an example of some hit reg, basically. So what we're going to be seeing here is him standing there firing a gun full auto and some guy running past his screen through a full auto XM4, okay? Which is a high fire rate weapon. Both these characters have 10 milliseconds latency. And we're going to watch how the bullets register. So here we go. Ready to hit play, bud?
Yeah.
Let me get it up on the big screen here. All right. If I full screen this, I think it'll take your camera away. Yeah, it freezes your camera, so I can't do that. So anyways, we're going to leave it like this. And we're going to play it in 3, 2, 1, go.
It seems as though private matches are in fact, of course, using dedicated servers as they stipulate online. And already, there were some problems in an ideal scenario. I'm going to show you some footage of this.
He's
We
got
have
a nice
10
voice,
instances of a character sprinting and tactical sprinting across a door. And whilst
What?
regular
Not
sprinting,
getting a hit marker,
we
you
seem
see
to
that?
have fairly okay hit registration with no big issues, but once the character was moving at high velocity and tac sprinting, on 3 of the 10 occasions, we had no hit registration at all. And I'm at a distance using an XM4 with a high rate of fire weapon.
I would have
and
expected
I'm not moving
too
my
many hit
crosshair
markers,
across the
not
screen.
enough.
I'm firing at a straight center point directly in front of me with a natural bit of recoil deviation. And although I'm firing in a straight line at a really high rate of fire, on more than one occasion, I got 0 registration on the character tac sprinting across the door. And that is in ideal network scenarios. So there's already a bit of error of doubt. The next point of call for me then was to check out the actual character models themselves and see if hitboxes even
Here we go, look at this.
scenarios were an issue. And the answer is yes. There are a number of locations on pretty much every character model I tested where shooting around the character model resulted in them getting a hit marker when they shouldn't.
He's super far off the body getting hit markers, off to the right.
Around the feet, around
right
the
of the
legs,
arm.
And it seemed to vary from character model
I mean,
to character
if you were to
model,
measure this in
but
real life, he'd be
universally,
aiming
even
probably
while
4 or 5
stationary,
inches
they
off
were
the
receiving
person's
damage that
character
they
model's
shouldn't
chest,
have
and the
been
bullet is
receiving.
registering.
And that means when you factor in things like character movement and people zipping around the screen at the speed of light, there are going to be multiple hundreds, thousands, if not millions of instances of players receiving damage even though somebody missed. So even in ideal networking scenarios,
this is a good example.
No hit registration
Look at that.
in some situations.
Dude,
Again, a low percentage, but still
so far from the character model's body. It's far. It's bad.
Receiving hit markers when they shouldn't. And the final port of call for me on this testing was checking out desyncing third-person animations. And what I mean by this is that when you look at an enemy opponent, are they doing what you're expecting them to do on screen? So what I found a lot of in Black Ops 6 is that it looks like an opponent either isn't looking at me, isn't aiming down sight, but suddenly I start receiving damage. And this has been an issue in the past for Call of Duty, and specifically an issue in Warzone, where character models could be looking the wrong way, even though in their game they were looking at you. So I thought this would be a natural place to take a look. And it does happen. It's definitely hard to trigger in ideal scenarios with under 10 milliseconds of latency, but there's still a desync and delay between what it looks like the character's doing and what they're actually doing. So there's been a number of times where I've fought an opponent and they've jump shot round a corner, and it looks like their gun is in the wrong direction, but they're still firing their gun and looking at me.
Happens a lot.
So it's just completely scuffed. It feels as though all of a sudden I've got a character who I feel I have the drop on because they're not even aiming at me and not even shooting at me. But in reality, they actually
when they said how
and when you go into the bad network scenarios,
third-person
they made a whole blog post about it.
Same thing with
even
hold on, pause
70
it real quick.
to 80 milliseconds of latency.
It's just funny how they made a whole blog post dedicated to how their third-person movements match up with first-person character models, and then also an entire blog post about how much time and effort they put into the audio in this game. And these are two of the almost only issues with the game, really. Are the two things they dedicated whole blog posts to, talking about how much they improve them. I've received that. And play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Latency, sometimes even as low as 50 to 40, you will get instances where character models are not looking at you or not firing at you, but on their screen, they absolutely are. So if you felt like you've died lightning fast,
good. I actually took a
probably
screenshot
because
of it.
perceptually in your head, you're processing character information where somebody isn't doing anything, but in reality, you're receiving damage. And it creates a very confusing scenario where it feels like you're being killed when you shouldn't be. The final thing I was using was to see whether Call of Duty was using any kind of lag compensation. And what I mean by that was it predicting where a character model was supposed to be and dealing damage when it shouldn't be? Or how does Call of Duty compensate for somebody on bad latency? And this bleeds into my bad scenario testing, which we'll talk about shortly. Now, generally speaking, Call of Duty, by the looks of things, under ideal scenarios and non-ideal scenarios, doesn't seem to have any kind of predictive movement system. I was wondering in my head if they tried to achieve better networking and generally better hit reg by having it in such a way that there was almost a ghost outline of your character and the server guessed where your character would be as opposed to where it actually was. That's not the case. That's not a scenario. In this game, they do just favor the shooter. And what I mean by that is whoever is firing in the scenario, so whoever is shooting their gun at an opponent, is going to receive some degree of lag compensation where they may deal damage to an opponent, even if on that opponent's screen, they've already gone past a corner. And I'll show you this in our test results. So I did a bunch of different testing on this where I had bad connectivity and also the other person had good connectivity, and then I tried it where they had bad connectivity and I had good connectivity. And generally speaking, the entire thing is a mess. The second you introduce a single player into a lobby who has a fluctuating latency, or what you would consider to be a bad connection, so much disparity starts to happen pretty much across the board. Everything feels greatly more delayed, you feel more desync in third-person animation.
By the way, what he means by bad connection, he says it on the screen, is 85 milliseconds.
Yeah.
Which is not that much latency. I would not classify that as a bad connection. You will have at least 3 people, probably more, every single game you play where someone is on 85 or more ping.
Yep.
So keep that in mind too.
Especially like in Warzone. Think about Warzone. You have,
and especially this is going to be even worse on Warzone. There are always going to be people over 85 milliseconds of ping. This is what he's classifying as a bad connection. So imagine how bad it would be on 110, 120 milliseconds of ping. 120 is fairly rare. I would say 90 is probably the most common, like, high latency you're going to see, but that's more than 85. So just something to keep in mind. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hit reg becomes remarkably more questionable. So let's talk about it. So the first scenario is where I'm on around about 80 latency, and the person I'm firing on is still maintaining their low ping of sub 10 milliseconds. And effectively, if you are the person with bad latency and you're the shooter, the situation does get a little worse for you in some scenarios, but it also degrades the experience for everyone. So to start with, when firing in a straight line with somebody strafing across the door or moving across the door at high speed, it pretty much doubled the amount of times there was no hit registration. So we went from about 3 out of 10 scenarios under good networking scenarios to about 6 out of 10 where firing at somebody entered a no-reg scenario. So that's not great if you're on a slightly more fluctuating or tricky connection. And that's to be expected. That's not a uniquely Call of Duty thing. Generally speaking, if you can play over Ethernet, please do play over Ethernet. And if you're playing over Wi-Fi, please do anything you can to maximize your general latency. But the problem, and this is arguably the biggest issue with Call of Duty, is that it always favors the shooter in terms of lag compensation. So there are times where if you're firing in a straight line and somebody moves across the door, or you happen to hit an opponent who is somebody who is on a good connection, they're going to receive damage around the corner.
Here we go.
So I, as the shooter, will receive a delayed hit marker. They, as the receiver of the damage, will be well past the door or window that they crossed and still
watch the other
receive
perspective.
Damage.
Here we go.
So this entire system favors whoever's firing, and that is not great. Many other games in the past, like Battlefield, have
boom. That's why it feels so bad. He is getting the hit marker around the corner. On your screen, you're not getting that damage shaken until you're around the corner.
Yep.
Which is classic Treyarch.
Needs to be the same. They need to change how lag compensation works.
The thing is, if I get the hit marker when I should, I'm banging that stim before I'm even behind the wall. Because what if he's getting pushed like from his left also? This absolutely will get you killed. Even if you think like, oh, well, who cares, whatever, you still took the damage. You just didn't get notified until much, much, much later.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's actually really important because that's going to dictate where I go and if I stim or not, or how I play, or do I slide or do I dive or whatever. So there's like lag comp in addition to the bad hitboxes.
Yep.
Where you can shoot 8 inches off of somebody's character model and still get a hit marker. Now, imagine you get shot in that hitbox that isn't where your character model is. It's 8 inches off. And you don't get the notification until late. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening when you're dying way behind walls, is you're getting lag comp hit not on your character model, but on your hitbox, which is way bigger than your character model, around your waist. That's what's happening. So, well, yeah, and then it's like interesting.
The crazy thing is the guy taking damage here around a corner, he's the one on 10 milliseconds of ping, by the way. Yeah. He has the good connection, but he's getting shot by somebody with a bad connection, and that's how he's taking all the damage around corners and dying around corners. So I've received that. Yeah. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, okay, go.
And they need to stop it where players are receiving damage around corners.
Battlefield
1
That's
even
so
introduced
delayed.
a leading shot indicator to compensate for this issue. But the biggest thing, and one of the things that I feel created more problems, is just how much third-person animations began to desync across bad networking scenarios. So when I had a bad connection and my opponent had a good connection, their third-person animations didn't always line up. But when I had a good connection and my opponent had a bad connection, wowzers, you would see just straight up complete mismatches where their gun is sideways and they'd be firing their weapon and you would start receiving damage.
Here we go. This is a
It
good
looks
one
like
right
they're
here.
not
This is
even
what I have
in
a
any
screenshot
kind of shooting position to fire on you, and the game decides, okay, sorry, that animation isn't synced. We're all going to receive
Watch this
damage
right here.
before
Look at
we
this.
sync that animation server side. So
Oh
in pretty much
my
any
goodness.
scenario,
Okay, pause it.
Oh no. Okay.
I got a screenshot here, guys. So I have a screenshot pulled up if you want to look at that in the notes. Here we go.
Okay.
So he, from his perspective here, he has 10 milliseconds. The target has 80. The guy is barely jumping around the corner on his screen. The guy shooting at him is, so he's looking straight. The guy is running perpendicular to him. He is shooting. You see the tracer coming. His character model and his gun are looking not the right direction at all. Not the right direction at all. He's looking straight, and his bullet tracers are going 90 degrees. They're just going straight right.
Where he came from, even though he's running 180 degrees in the opposite direction of where his character's facing.
Yep.
By the way, he's running left, but his character is facing right, and then you're getting shot at 90.
Yep.
What's going on? Where are we?
Yeah.
This is the Twilight Zone. I've got it. Yeah.
And this is why it all feels so bad. So
Really
if you're one of those
bad.
people saying, oh, I haven't experienced any of this, I haven't noticed it, I don't know what to tell you. It
brain
happens
is
to
slow.
everybody. You don't know what to
Yeah.
look for. You don't notice these little things then, because this is a real issue in the game, and he's proving it here. So, and it's not even that you have to have high ping. It's just somebody else in the lobby has to have ping over 60, basically. Which, is every single lobby, since they don't prioritize ping. Yeah, even though they said they do in that one, that white paper, that super extremely white paper they put out.
Yep.
It doesn't. It's just all matchmaking. It prioritizes KD and then nothing else, and then everything else kind of after that, basically.
Exactly. This is why connection-based matchmaking actually makes a lot of sense, is so things like this don't happen. But they don't prioritize matchmaking on connection. They prioritize it on a bunch of other things, and they literally knowingly allow situations like this to happen constantly because of SBMM. So keep that in mind. We could have very few, if none, of these issues if they actually prioritize connection, where I'm only facing people that are within whatever 30, 40, 50 milliseconds of my location. They could easily do that unless you live in, the Arctic Circle, but they choose not to do that because of SBMM. Awesome. So why does this particular thing matter? Why does it matter if their character model doesn't look like what they're actually doing? If you think that, I mean, I'm upset with you, but I'll just give you an easy example. Let's say I'm one shot and then a guy runs past me and it looks like he's running, or he's facing whatever, 90 degrees to my right. And I'm like, okay, I could either stim here or just kill this guy real quick, since I know he's not looking at me. That's why it matters. Because then it's like, oh, okay, the guy's not looking at me. I'm going to shoot him because he's about to be out of my line of sight, and I have plenty of time to kill him if I shoot him. Or stim. Okay, he's actually looking at me, so I need to stim and move my character so I don't die.
Yeah.
Well, if it looks like he's just facing 90 degrees away from me, I'm going to choose to start shooting him, because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, this guy is not looking at me. I'm going to just kill him, and then I'll stim.
Yeah.
Or I won't need to stim anymore, because then, another second or whatever would have passed. But in reality, the guy looks like he's facing to my right, but he's actually looking right at me, and I don't know it yet. So I start shooting, and then he's shooting his gun, but his bullets are going 160 degrees to my head, and then I die. And that's why it matters, because if I can't see where you're actually looking, then I can't make an informed decision on what the correct play to make is. And even if you are like, oh, I'm not good enough to notice things like that, you are noticing them subconsciously and you're dying because of it. You might not consciously have picked up on this yet, but I promise you, if you start to look for it, you will. Yeah. It happened to me this morning. Some guy looked like he was running not only 90, but like almost running in the same direction as me, 45 degrees to the right. So he's running like diagonally away from me. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm just going to clean this kid up instead of going prone behind cover and reloading or stimming or something. So I start shooting the guy. I don't know if I do. I might get a bullet or two off, but he's just immediately kills me. And I'm like, oh, okay. That looks nothing like my screen. And sure enough, I watched the kill cam. It didn't. The guy in the kill cam was never facing where it looked like he was facing. That's why it matters. And again, that makes it so much more insulting that they dedicated a portion, a named section of an entire blog post to how much work they put into having third-person character models reflect what that character is actually doing on their screen. Embarrassing, cringe, L.
Yeah.
So
okay,
yeah,
so back to the video.
Yeah. Okay.
Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
The person shooting or the person receiving damage has a bad connection, you're going to have a complete desync in third-person animations. And if both players have a slightly questionable Wi-Fi connection with somewhat fluctuating latency, both of you are going to receive some of the worst third-person syncing and animations I've probably ever seen. And if they don't network prioritize these or find a way to fix this, it's just going to cause problems for anybody. Now, generally speaking,
oh my God,
most people play over Wi-Fi. Most people play with fairly unstable connections at times. And in pretty much all scenarios, even in multiplayer online, I have seen third-person animations where someone's shooting at me, even though they haven't round a corner. Or someone's shooting at me when they're mid-air and it doesn't look like that they're looking at me. And these results verify that that is absolutely what's occurring. The last port of call for me was to test the time to kill to time to death disparity.
Here's a big one too.
And what I mean by this is how long it takes for you to kill an opponent visually versus how quickly it takes for you to die visually. Now, recording this is a little bit tricky, but the easiest way to do it is to actually count frame by frame how long it took you to kill an opponent and how long it takes you to die from an opponent using the same weapon with the same hitboxes in the same location. So that's exactly what I did. We fired an XM4 directly into the opponent's chest with no variation in the hitbox that was achieved. And both XM4s were pretty much identical in this scenario, and we counted the amount of frames between the weapon firing and how quickly that person died. And in this scenario, both of us had 40 to 30 milliseconds of latency, which I feel is a pretty healthy medium ground that represents a pretty accurate depiction of what will likely happen in game. Now, in terms of killing an opponent, from firing my weapon to the opponent physically dying on the red hit marker, it took 25 video frames for that to occur. But when receiving damage, it took just 19 frames from the first bullet making contact and then firing the weapon to me dying, which is a 27% disparity between time to kill and time to death. So when it feels like that you're shooting your opponent and it takes them ages to die, and it feels like you're dying really quickly, that is how the game is currently operating. TTK values and time to death values are two experiences that are something that has to work in sync, and this is something that every first-person shooter generally suffers with. But other games, Battlefield namely, have tried to compensate for this in the past, and I would like to see Call of Duty get that percentage as low as humanly possible and think about how they're handling their lag compensation by prioritizing the shooter. Overarchingly, this entire scenario, both in the ideal scenarios where we have no reg instances, bad models, and general desync, and then bad scenarios where we have even more of that, just show that at the moment, at a base layer, the game is not in a pretty good spot. Across the board, pretty much every single character model in this game needs to have a once-over to make sure their character models are actually receiving damage where they should be receiving damage, which I think is a very clear thing. The entire networking infrastructure of this game needs to be updated to prioritize third-person animations as much as they're prioritizing information about shooting. Because the actual disparity I think most people are seeing and most people are witnessing isn't the fact that their opponent just happened to kill them first, it's the fact that they don't mentally recognize that their opponent's even aiming down sight at them. So when you factor in desyncing third-person animations with a pretty large 27% difference disparity between time to kill and time to death, you get scenarios where people feel like they're rounding a corner and dying instantly, or an opponent peeks a window and they die instantly. And the more it feels like someone dies instantly, the more likely they are to quit this game.
Wow.
So folks, that's all the findings I have for this video. This took a very...
Yeah, so the time to kill, time to death thing is interesting too, because essentially on your screen, from the feedback you get when you start taking damage and when you die, you are dying faster than the length of time it takes you on your screen to kill somebody. So that is why it feels that way, because it does feel like, how did that guy just shoot me with 4 bullets? It does not feel like he hit me with 4 bullets. So I don't know enough about this to know if it's worse in this game, if that's just normal, if that's how Call of Duty always is, or what's going on. But there are times where it feels, because even, MW 3 felt that way too, or was it MW 2? One of the last 2 games felt that way, where it feels like you would die very fast, and then the time to kill felt slow. I think it was MW 3 when it first came out. A lot of people talked about that, and I think we did too. So maybe this is just how all of them are, how all the COD titles are. I don't know.
In some sense, like, some of these issues are just unavoidable, because even if you did prioritize just matchmaking, people are going to have different ping, and like people are going to have lag spikes or whatever. And you do kind of have to do some lag compensation in some way. Like you said, this is really complicated if you really get into the nitty gritty of it. And I don't know enough to say like what they should be doing or whatever, but a couple of things that are just very easy things they absolutely should do and could do easily is, number one, actually prioritize based on matchmaking, because those issues did not really come up, or not nearly as often, if everyone's on lower ping. And how do you have everyone on low ping? Because, but if someone's on Wi-Fi, I can't just make them plug in their Ethernet cord. Yeah, that's true, but you could matchmake them with other people in their state that are all connecting to the same server. So if I play with someone in, New Zealand who is on Starlink internet or whatever, there's still going to be some latency because they're so far away. So you could just prioritize actual connection, number one. That could be done easily, but they'll never do that because of SBMM. So they care way too much about that. So that's not happening. Another thing they could do, which I think they actually might do, is fix the character models. If I'm getting hit where my character isn't, that's a big problem, and there's no reason that we want that or that Treyarch would want that. So that's something they actually maybe could fix and should fix. And then another one is, oh God dang it. What was it? No. I forget. There's another easy thing they could do that I thought of.
Make the game good and balanced and not laggy.
Oh yeah, increase the tick rate of the servers. That's not, they could like easily do it. In theory, it would just be expensive. But like Jack said, another problem here is the tick rate of the servers. So the fewer refreshes the server does per second, the more often you will feel like you die just without any chance to do anything. So if the tick rate of the server is 12, then you can eat 2 or 3 bullets in 1 server tick if you're getting shot by like the compact with a really high fire rate. So that gives you no time to do anything. Whereas if you had a 120 tick server, you would actually get that first bullet to reg on you way sooner than if you're on a 12 tick server. And then you would actually have some time to do something. So those are like 3 things that even I can tell you they could and should do to make this problem be way less jarring than it is now. The only one of those 3, and there's probably other things they could do. I don't know enough about networking. None of you do either, unless you literally work in this field, because it does get really complicated. There are probably other things they could do. I just don't know what they are. But of those 3 things, realistically, I only see them fixing one maybe, which is having the character models be an actual representation of where your hitbox is. In other words, making the hitbox smaller.
That's an easy change. They could implement that this week if they wanted to. That can all be fixed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you feel like you are dying around corners like I do, and somebody tries to gaslight you or says, "Oh, I don't know, I don't experience this, I don't feel it," you are. It definitely happens. It's definitely not every death, as he showed there. There are instances. Kind of just depends on your connection, the person shooting you, their connection, how fast you're moving, what animation you're doing at the time. Yeah, the fire rate of the gun. But there are absolutely times, where you will die around corners on your screen, entirely around corners, as that video proved. So I thought that was interesting. So shout out to the Tactical Brit for that.
Yeah, unfortunately, shout out to the Tactical Brit. We will now use 2 British people's media, which doesn't feel great, but we'll do it. So yeah. I would imagine, by the way, the only thing that's like unique to Treyarch here, because the server tick rate is the same no matter who develops the game, and the lag comp is probably about the same no matter who develops the game. I'm guessing the Treyarch cherry on top that makes it feel the most bad in Treyarch specific games is what I had guessed a while ago, which is where the hitboxes are just bigger. Actually, that's my guess. But I didn't see this same video for MW3 and MW2 and MW19 and Vanguard and all that, so I don't really know. But I
think it's just with the faster movement. It's like when you get those.
That too. Yep.
So it's like you omni dive or something, or do a really fast slide through some door, and you're just on your screen. That hit marker is coming in so far after you're out of that guy's line of sight.
True. Yeah, because you're moving so quickly. Yeah. So
that's why it feels extra bad now. But
100p.
Unfortunately, not sure anything will really be done to solve this. But yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the only thing I could see them maybe doing is shrinking those hitboxes to better comport with the character models. And that's like another reason, by the way, that I was so annoyed. We were so annoyed with some of the skins that got added season 6 with like the 3 heads. It's like, hey man, where's the hitbox here? Because this character model is way bigger than like whatever the Black Noir skin. So like if I shoot at his 3rd head, is that gonna be a hit marker or am I gonna whiff? Like what's going on here? Don't do that. It's cringe. But anyway, this video was posted yesterday and it has 22,000 views. I don't know if that's quite enough to get on Treyarch's radar, but TheXclusiveAce is a name I see around very often. That video will definitely get more views, and we will link to that video and Hecksmith's tweet and TheXclusiveAce's video all in the show notes if you guys want to go watch them all yourselves. I'd recommend it especially for the aim assist one, and maybe this lag comp one as well, but we'll link them all for you. But I would imagine this will get on Treyarch's radar. The question is just going to be, will they do anything about it? And we have no idea.
Yeah. Like you said,
unfortunately, a lot of people just don't notice this. Or they do, but they don't really like care or realize what's going on. Like, man, I'm dying really fast. These guys must be really good. It's like, no, buddy, actually, they're better than you probably if you don't notice it. But what's happening is you're not getting updated enough information, so you didn't have a chance to like go prone and stim when you maybe otherwise would have in a better game. So yeah, something to keep in mind. But.
Yeah, so that was interesting. And the last thing here, we're going to talk about Nuketown a little bit, so I'll give my thoughts. You played a lot more than me, but I'll give you guys my my thoughts on the map here real quick. Because it hasn't been super fun. The map has not been super fun for me. In fact, I've been playing Core 6s or Face Off instead. But so Nuketown is Nuketown. Nothing is different. But unfortunately, it's ruined right now because of the Recon specialty. Just seeing exactly where the person is hiding or moving to. It's so broken, especially on this map. And you had said that to start, and I was like, well, I don't know, because the map's already like predictable. It's 3-lane. No, it's really, really bad on Nuketown, especially. It's horrific on Nuketown.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so that with the ability to shoot through like all of the walls in this game with the crazy bullet pen. I don't know if this bullet pen is intended or if it's just all bugged, but guns have a ton of bullet penetration by default. You just shoot everybody through walls. It's kind of crazy. So, like, basically what's happening, in my opinion, this is what I noticed. You just can't flank or push past mid in these objective game modes, like something like Dom, as an example.
You can't really farm people hard, yeah.
No. So, like, basically, like, what continues to happen is I spawn in. Let's say we're playing Dom, right? I see where people are. So I see, oh, some guy's running up to the Jeep. I pull out my frag grenade, because I run frags. I cook it. I throw a perfect nade. It lands on him. He's dead. Got it. So then I start moving up the map, because I know there was nobody else close at the time. I don't even have to look or pay attention to anything. I just run up, and I get to that school bus at mid, right? And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to start moving my way over to the Jeep. As soon as I leave from that bus and start moving to the Jeep, everybody on their team that is constantly dying fighting around mid is now respawning back in that exact corner down that lane. And I know this because I'm on that side of the map half the time as well, right? So I spawn in, or they spawn in down there, and people are looking and knowing exactly where you are, so much that it's difficult to even rotate to the Jeep, because they just start firing down that lane, pre-firing you because they see you through a wall. And if you do get to that Jeep, then what? They're just going to throw a nade at you, know exactly where to shoot you. I mean, they know exactly where you're going to be, right? So cool, got it. So then I get naded, pre-fire. This happened a lot, by the way. I constantly had grenades land right at my feet as soon as I would move up there. And yes, again, it's predictable, but not like that. Not when you can land a nade directly on somebody because you know where they were moving to and where they're stopping, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I of course get killed, and then I respawn, and then I see again where everybody's at. So okay, I'll cook another frag. That guy that just killed me at the Jeep, I now see him pushing up the lane. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm cooking a frag, or if he starts moving into our spawn and coming through the garage, guess what I'm doing? Wall banging and pre-firing, because I know he's there. He can't do anything about it. That guy's dead and respawning again. You can't push past mid because of this. So again, like, I know what some people are thinking, like, oh, it's already a predictable map, blah, blah. It's nothing like this. It is nothing to do with this at all. You just pre-fire everything, and it's a free and instant kill. So then, you know, I respawn again. Then I get up to mid. After I kill that guy, I'm pushing up to mid again. They're once again all respawning, and they all know where I'm at again, at mid. So guess what's going to happen? I'm going to die at mid once again. What's going to happen if I try to push in their building? They know exactly when I'm coming and where I'm coming, because one guy's always going to be respawning. They have some guy respawning in the back every 3 seconds. Somebody's going to know where I'm at, because if you're not running the specialty, you're frankly a complete fucking idiot. And so everyone is using it, other than if some people are using the other one to try to gain XP. That's the only reason they're using it. Let's be clear. They just want to level up. They would love 100%. To be using the wall hack, but they're like, oh, I want to level up instead.
Yes.
So that's why you see that one often is for people to get XP. So yeah, so then again, that's just what constantly happens. It's not possible to take control of mid. You're not rewarded for killing people at mid and pushing up. And in fact, you're actually significantly punished for doing so. And this is why it feels like people aren't going on high streaks. You can't stay alive for very long. It's just crazy. Yesterday, one of the matches, I died. We were getting kind of farmed. Me and a teammate spawned in. We were on the side where, I don't really know how to describe the side other than I spawned on the side where the Jeep is on your right side, okay? So I'm there.
Okay, yeah.
Then there's a guy running up. I get the wall hack for full 2 seconds. He runs up from the B flag at mid, and he's hiding behind our chimney at the house. Guess what? Me and my teammate both respawn, start running down that lane. I know my teammate has the wall hack, because guess what? He slides around the corner, pre-firing the guy. We both farm him. That guy has a free 2 easy kills if we don't have the free wall hack. I got rewarded for dying. Thanks, somebody, for killing me. I have a ton of intel now. I have more intel when I'm fucking dead than alive because of this shit. So cool.
Harp. You have more intel than a harp, which is like a 300 kill streak, by the way.
So it's like, you know, that's not an uncommon place for somebody to be, but you're not checking that chimney corner every single time you run past it. You can say it's a predictable map, whatever, sure, but I'm not checking that exact corner every single time I run by it. You know, so he probably would have killed both of us because we wouldn't be thinking about it, because we'd be at mid, we'd be throwing nades, we'd be getting ready. So it's just dumb. And then other times I've spawned at that same spawn and I see some guy killing somebody through the wall, in our building, and then I see him start running up the staircase. Ooh, guess what? Free easy kill. He starts running up the staircase, and I can see then he starts coming out on the patio. I'm wall banging him. He's dead. That guy farmed our team, got past mid into our building just to die to me shooting him through wood because I have a free wall hack that I respawn with every single time I die. I was probably 4-12 that match, and I'm just killing people through walls because it's so easy and it's predictable. And it's just bad. And the flow of the map is horrific right now because of that. And you can feel it every single match you play. It's very obvious. There's no... Remember like in BO4 how often you would get past mid and you'd be running around in the opposite building that you spawned and farming them, going up, down. You cannot do any of that now. You die to some shitter who respawns and sees you through a wall and you're dead. It's so bad, dude. It's so bad. Yeah. The map is good. The map is great, in fact. It's completely ruined by the Recon specialty. So once they fix that, it'll be a great experience. But for me personally right now, I don't want to play Nuketown, but it is good for weapon XP. So you kind of just do, but I don't want to at all. It's a really, really bad experience. It feels worse than any Nuketown I've ever played, and it's literally because of the Recon perk specialty and nothing else. Because the map's good. Yeah. They did a perfect remake on it. They did a good job and ruined it with their perk specialty system.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Yeah, unfortunately, it's exactly correct. You can't push past mid is the perfect way to describe it. I totally agree. If you stay at mid, they'll like know where you are probably, but actually probably not if you're moving around kind of laterally. You know, like you could be behind both buses versus in between the buses versus on the Jeep versus on the other like side, whatever, by the sign. You can kind of like play around there and you won't get ruined by the Recon specialty, but any more than that, they can get to you too quickly and they're going to know where you are, especially if you're in their building. So gone are the days of farming another team in Nuketown and just pissing all over them in their spawn building. Yeah, that's just gone. It's not possible anymore. And I should be able to do that if you're getting farmed so hard that you let me in your spawn building. Then, hey, back out if you're mad, but this is what happens to you now. That's how Nuketown should play, but it doesn't. Yeah, so you just can't do it anymore. So then you have to play at mid, but if you're farming another team too hard, they're going to be too scared to move. So they're just going to be like peeking the lanes or going upstairs, and you're going to be like doing head glitch to head glitch, cringe, boring gunfights that suck a lot and are antithetical to the Nuketown play style. But you have to do that if you're farming another team, or you can just go die. That's fine, I guess. But that's all you can do. So like this is gone with this special. That simple. Uncounterable. Yeah. Agree. And it's very cringe.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like fun Nuketown because of that. That's the primary reason.
Correct. Yeah, 100%. And I almost wonder if that's by design the more I think about it. Like, you get rewarded for dying. So I wonder if the reason this is in the game or part of it is like, well, you know, we don't want people getting spawn trapped on Nuketown. Yeah, it's like, okay, whatever.
I don't. The thing is, though, they're not Infinity Ward, so I wouldn't think so. But you never know. Yeah, you just never know.
They're not Infinity Ward. That's true.
You know, that was the other thing, by the way. On a way to balance this, is have cooldowns on these. Don't just. Like, the first time I spawn into a match, I shouldn't just instantly get wall hack. It almost needs to work like you need to hit a level of XP gain for that match to then get your bonus one time. Because if they did it like that, you could basically not change anything else. You just change the earn rate of getting your specialty. So instead of me dying 40 times on Nuketown and getting wall hacks 40 times, I would only end up getting it maybe 3 times, maybe 5 times, because you have to get some sort of XP for then gaining that to have the ability to see through a wall when I die. That would also be a very good way to balance it, I think.
Yeah. That would work too. There are so many ways you could just make it not as strong, to be fair. But like another one that I like from Jaken a lot actually is you get the sweep on kills instead of on death. That would be good too.
That's a good idea. I like that a lot actually. Yeah.
Or you could even tie it to score.
Yeah,
I think Score
that's
would
a really
actually
good
be
idea.
better because Enforcer is like the killing people like archetype. So if they want to stick with that, that's fair. So you could do like you get that wall hack thing, and it's not as strong as it is now. It's just a snapshot instead. But for every whatever 300 score you get. So if I get 100 score, die, get 100 score, die, and then get another 100 score, boom, I get it right away while alive. I don't get it on death. That would be cool too, because then you're getting rewarded for at least doing something. That would still probably be too strong, but at least we're in the right direction of where you earn things for doing things, not for getting fucking farmed, which is what the blue perk uniquely does. So the green specialty is like you get extra points for doing shit. Okay, cool. That makes sense. If you're getting farmed with a green specialty, having the green specialty is not doing anything for you. Same with the red specialty. How does that work? You get more health regen and movement speed on killing someone. You don't get rewarded. It's not like you respawn and you move 300% faster. It's for doing something. Whereas the blue perk is the only one where you get its biggest benefit after you've been farmed.
Yeah.
Hey, what are we doing?
Yeah.
This shit, like, it doesn't even mechanically make sense. Yeah, you shouldn't be rewarded for dying.
Yeah, I honestly hadn't thought about that at all, but Jaken's suggestion actually I like more than anything I've thought of so far. So, like, if you're in their spawn farming them, if I'm in their building on Nuketown and I would say higher than probably 3 kills, maybe every 5 kills or so, you get a flash of where they are. Even then, it shouldn't be 2 seconds. It should be maybe 1 second. And maybe it shouldn't even show them moving. It should almost just be a snapshot through the wall. But I get 5 kills, then I get a snapshot, and I can see there are more guys spawning back there. Instead of those guys spawning in dead and knowing that I'm in their building, that would fix the flow of all the maps, I think, immediately. That would be a really good idea.
Great fix.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
There are a lot of things they could do.
Yeah, there are so many things they could do, but I think actually that is the best step in the right direction, and that is a good idea.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be tied to dying at all. It should be tied to something else.
Yeah.
So kills or score or I don't know. Probably one of those 2 things would make the most sense.
Yeah.
So yeah. A couple other things about Nuketown. I agree with both of these. The lethal spam is really bad. I would caveat that and say the equipment spam is really bad.
Yeah, equipment spam.
It's mostly lethals because people use stims generally, but some people don't have them unlocked or whatever. And you're just constantly getting flashed, stunned, semtexed, mollied, fragged, because you respawn instantly and you just are guaranteed a lethal, so you just throw that bitch anywhere. So if you're playing... Luckily, you unlock Flak Jacket quite early. It's really just a requirement. And that's why I took Perk Greed so early, is so that I can always have a space for Flak Jacket, even if I want to run my blue specialty or whatever. I can get both. You will die to, I'm not kidding, in a game of Dom. If you don't have Flak Jacket, I don't care who you are, you're dying to at least 3 explosions every game of Dom, like every single one.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about it, because they'll be in smart spots and then it's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have been there, but they'll also be in totally fucking random spots too, because it's a small map and you're guaranteed lethals and people are dying and spawning with fresh nades for you all the time. That's very cringe and bad. And then the last thing, I also agree with this, the visibility is not great. It's really not. The character models are like kind of the same color as some of the washed out bright areas of Nuketown, and they kind of blend in.
It's all around B.
It's around B a
It's
lot.
when people are like, whatever is behind the B flag, is it like garage doors or something? Whatever it is, if you're in your
like the wooden fence,
if you're in your spawn building where the Jeep is on the left and you run out of your building and you look towards B, there's anyone right there on B, they blend into that background specifically.
Yes.
That's when I say the visibility isn't super great, it's essentially that one spot. Everywhere else it's fine. It's just right there, something blends in. A lot of that too though is like, also since the game is new, nobody's using crazy skins. We don't have a bunch of colorful skins that glow and all that, so all of those things will also ease the problem later on in the game once we get a lot more bundles. But that's the main problem I have right now, is it's very hard to shoot people that are standing there because you just like don't see them. Even their name tag blends in when it's red.
Yeah, I need to change that. But yeah. So I had a really miserable time of Nuketown the first time I played yesterday, but I was only queuing with one other person. Today I played it some more in a 3-stack, and it was much better and more fun. But the lethal spam is still annoying, and the visibility is bad. That is the worst spot, how you described it. When the Jeep is on your left, and then you peek the right lane looking toward B, when they're like coming out of that house, you just won't see them at all. Yeah, I totally agree with that. So, other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you learned something. Let us know your thoughts as always, and we will see you guys next week for sure. So I will now thank you all for watching and listening. Patreon.com/TheDropshot. Promo code Dropshot at manscaped.com. 20% off and free shipping. Not enough of you have done that, so please do it.
Yeah.
And stay humble.
Stay humble.